seeing rand weakness coming to the fore. No surprise there. Equity markets coming under pressure in Asia and in South Africa as well. A big focus on the European debt crisis that is playing out. So we are seeing a bit of rand weakness from around 685 where we were on Friday to around over 690 to the dollar.
Morning, Eleni. Yes, just like last week, Monday, the rand's actually started the week on a weakening bias. The rand was weak last week, and what happened is that in the middle of the week, we had a string of really poor US data, and that sparked global growth concerns. And so perversely, towards the end of the week, the combination of those global growth concerns and the resurgent euro debt crisis saw the euro weaken against the dollar, as the dollar benefited from its safe haven status. And that really seems to be what we have again this Monday morning. So the rand at the moment, the correlation between the rand and the euro is particularly strong at the moment. So the fact that the euro is weakening and the dollar is in the ascendancy at the moment has really hammered the rand. So as you mentioned, it's back at about 690 levels at the moment. In the short term, we'd be looking for it to move to about 698, possibly above the 7 rand level. And in the near term, 717 is still quite possible.
We keep hitting resistance just above 7 to the US dollar. What is it going to take to see that movement around 717? And once we do hit that level, do you suspect a comeback to below 7 once again?
Eleni, for the rand to maintain a break above the 7 rand level, at this point, as we indicated, the correlation between the rand and the euro is particularly strong, stronger in fact than the correlation between the rand and commodity prices. So clearly the data that comes out this week is going to be quite key in terms of determining the rand's direction, because if we have the euro weaken much further from current levels, then we'd expect the rand to track that, and then that would probably send the rand back above 7 rand and then on to 717 in the short term.
With regards to possible tightening of liquidity, we've got a US public holiday this week. Could that add more pressure coming through for the local currency, or do you think it's going to artificially inflate some of the movements so we could see strength instead of weakness?
As always, when a key player is out of the market, as in when US markets are closed or UK, that lack of liquidity could exaggerate the rand's movements, particularly if they're in light of some bad data that could come out in the week. But most rand trade is actually done out of London, so that remains that's the key center. And when UK trade is closed or non-existent, that's where the greatest risk lies. But certainly there is some risk in the fact that US markets could be closed.
With regards to the PPI data set to be released in South Africa, that's pretty much the biggest focus this week, given the fact that we had CPI coming in slightly below most markets' expectations. We know that PPI numbers have been rallying quite significantly. What kind of numbers can you expect, and do you think that they've largely been priced into the rand?
As far as PPI is concerned, this would then be the data print for April. We're expecting moderation from 7.3% in March to 7% in April. And that's mainly because the PPI accelerated quite significantly in the first quarter of this year. It's a combination of the fact that there was a very low base established last year, and then also rising commodity prices in the first quarter of this year really pressured the PPI. So as we head into the second quarter, we'd expect the low disappear from the data, and in addition we've seen some commodity prices, particularly global food prices, have been coming off since March. So we think that the PPI will likely moderate to about 7%, and that's roughly in line with consensus, so we wouldn't expect the rand to have a violent reaction either way to the PPI print.
With regards to what we're seeing playing out in Europe, we had Fitch downgrading Greece. We also had ECB saying that it's going to halt buying Greek bonds in fear that the country could be defaulting. What kind of movements are we expecting on the euro front? And as you mentioned, the dollar benefiting from its safe haven assets perspective.
Well, certainly, for as long as the euro debt crisis remains an unresolved issue, the euro is most certainly going to be on the back foot. And with the correlation between the euro and the rand being so strong at the moment, that certainly poses some risks for the rand in terms of extended rand weakness. So it's difficult to predict what could happen this week. There isn't that much key data out. And of course, as far as the sovereign debt concerns, we take that on a day-to-day basis. Impossible to predict what new pronouncements or what new new statements may come out in relation to that issue. But certainly any recurrence or flare-up of that issue would, in our view, be negative for the rand.